Welcome to my podcast, Lisa with a Visa, your passport to the world. Join me on a journey to discover the beauty, diversity, and wonders of our planet. From vibrant cities to remote landscapes, from mouth-watering cuisine to heartwarming encounters, this podcast is your ultimate guide to unforgettable travel experiences. I'm your host, Elisa, and I'm excited for you to join me on this travel adventure. Hey guys, thank you for joining another episode of my podcast, Lisa with a Visa, where we discuss all things travel. And on this week's episode, I'm going to be giving you guys some tips and advice on traveling, specifically flying and where to book your flights. I know a lot of people always ask me how am I able to fly and travel as frequently as I do. Trust me, I'm just getting started, but I can give you guys a little tips that I do use and how I'm able to fly and go to different places. For instance, in 2022, I went on a cruise. My flight to Miami only costed me about $26. And I'm going to show you guys all about how I travel for low. Not free, but for the low. One day it'll be free once I get enough points, and we're going to be discussing how you can also travel for free. Stay tuned. So the first thing when it comes to planning a vacation is most times, how are you going to get there, which is your flight, and what airport are you going to fly out of, which some people don't realize that your airport that you fly out of is very important and can affect your price of whatever flight you are deciding to take. So for instance, I live in New Jersey. The closest airport to me is the Philadelphia International Airport, which is about 25 minutes from where I live. Ideally, I would love to fly out of PHL. However, there are flights that are a lot cheaper if I fly from Newark International Airport, which is about an hour from me in North Jersey. So for instance, flying to Paris next week would cost me about $1,200 from PHL versus flying to Paris from JFK, which is about 2 hours from me, would cost me about $400. So I am saving $800 by taking a 2-hour ride via train, car, bus, whatever, just to get to Paris. And I'm saving $800, and that $800 can go towards an hotel, clothes, anything that I want to buy on the trip, drinks, whatever. So the airport definitely matters. But also, the airport, depending on where you're going, can change the time of when you're going, because most of the airlines coming out of JFK usually leave around midnight or 1 a.m. or late evenings to go internationally to the other side of the world. So for instance, when I went to Dubai, my whole trip to Dubai, hotel and flight costed me $1,200. And it was because I left from Newark International Airport. If I would have left straight from PHL, then maybe I would have been paying a lot more for the flight. But you know, you got to get in where you can fit in. I'll take those 2-hour rides to save me $800. Yep, I sure will. So here are some of the websites that I also use to book. Like I said, I went from PHL to Miami for $26. So some people use Kayak. I have used Kayak before. I enjoy it. It's easy. You just have to be a lot flexible with where you want to go. I also like Momondo, Skiplagged, secretflying.com, and my favorite, Skyscanner, which is the most common, popular one everyone has heard of. So when it comes to flying, if you have flexibility, that is the best part, and you're already making your flight and your vacation cheaper, because now you can have a broad range of airfare to choose from. So if you click on Skyscanner and you click the month that you want to go but not a specific date, you can find which flights are cheaper. Red is the more high end of a flight, and green is cheap. Yellow is midway, relatively expensive, depending on what you call expensive. So that is really a good hack. Try to be flexible. So if you want to plan a trip for 5 months from now, then try to be flexible with the dates. Maybe if you want to go in a specific month. Now, this excludes birthday trips or graduation trips or any type of milestone trip. This is just for people who want to travel. I don't care when. I need a vacation now. I'm tired of these damn kids. I'm tired of this damn job and this damn man and this damn dog. This is for those people. So if you don't have any type of milestone, you don't have an exact date, you just know maybe the month. Even if you don't know the month, click a few months. whatever, you're going to be able to find a cheaper rate. The more flexible, the cheaper you're going to get your flight. So also for people that just want to explore, maybe you don't have a specific destination in mind, you want to try any country, explore everywhere. They have different flights for cheap. So if I go on Skyscanner and I want to leave out of PHL, I can see what flights are cheap leaving out of PHL. For right now, Puerto Rico is only $400 to leave round trip. Costa Rica is $379 round trip. So you don't have to travel 2 hours or 3 hours to another airport. You can also look in your airport, just be flexible with the place that you're willing to explore. They have states trips, so if you want to click only US trips, click United States, you can see what states are cheaper going from. Domestically, it's always a lot cheaper, but you can get really cheap deals going to any country through Skyscanner or any of these other websites. One of my favorite hacks I use when it comes to traveling is booking my one-way ticket. A lot of people always book round trip, and to me, it can cost more than booking a one-way ticket. For instance, I am going to Croatia with EF Ultimate Break, and I opted in to buy my own flights because the trip would have been a lot cheaper. Just me opting in to buy my own flights, and I know a little flight hack, so I can, make some numbers work. So right now, I am on Skyscanner, and I am leaving from Newark International Airport to go to Croatia because obviously it's cheaper, and it's only an hour away. So if I were to do a round trip ticket from EWR, which is Newark, to Splint, and then from Splint back to Newark, it would cost me around $1,500, $1,585. I see another one for $837, but the return flight is 31 hours, and it really only takes 10 hours to get to Splint, so I really don't want to spend an extra 20 hours flying. So that would be the numbers if I did a round trip. Now, if I did one way, I have a little bit more flexibility. So my one-way ticket would be $506 to go to Splint from Newark. And my return flight, I would want to leave from Splint and go to Philadelphia because I don't want to take an hour ride home after I just did an entire vacation. So yeah, I'm going to leave and go to PHL, and it's only $629. So let's do the math real quick. It was $1,500 to do a round trip from EWR to Splint, and then from Splint back to EWR. And reminder, EWR is about an hour and a little bit more, almost probably an hour and 30 minutes away from my home, and PHL is only 25 minutes. So let's see. So it would be $506 for my one-way ticket to Splint from EWR and $629 on my return to PHL. And that only came to $1,135, which is obviously cheaper than $1,500. And I'm also able to do a flight that I want to do, which is the PHL flight. And I'll get home at a reasonable time. I arrive home at 4:25 p.m. the next day. If I were to do that round trip flight, the one they had for $837, which is $300 cheaper, it would only work if I was doing stops in the countries that we are doing layovers in. So that is another travel hack. If you are trying to go to multiple countries, then layovers are your thing, and that's what you want, and that can increase a cheap rate. For people that want to do traveling for maybe 2 months or maybe even a month, if you're going to stop in different countries, that's a flight travel hack. And Skiplag is actually perfect for this because Skiplag helps you find cheaper flights by exploiting pricing loopholes, and basically it's booking a flight with a layover at your intended destination. So for instance, if a flight from PHL to Dallas is $600, but then I see a flight from PHL to Colorado for $300 with a layover in Dallas, instead of taking the full flight, I'll just get off in Dallas and save myself, $400. Those are some other pricing loopholes. However, I wouldn't do this without going through Skiplag because it can be very tricky when it comes to airlines because they do not want people to do this. So this can result in not having your return flight. You can lose it. So Skiplag actually helps with all that. So I would definitely look into that. And those are ways that you can, fly for cheap, because sometimes these layover flights are cheaper, but I may not be able to do 20 hours on a flight. So some of the basic things that we should know is, one, search for flights in incognito mode. No matter what flight website you are using, even if you're using Google Flights, always search in incognito mode, because depending on the airline, they sometimes raise the prices once they've seen that your browser has went there multiple times, or depending on the day, just search in incognito mode. Trust me. I would also check for hidden fees and book your flight within 6 weeks of the trip. So if your trip is, in October, maybe wait till the end of August to book your flight, because that's when flights are at their best price. Sometimes booking too far in advance or booking too close can result in a higher airfare. Another travel hack is to book your trips during the off-peak seasons. So off-peak seasons are times where typical people do not travel. So from January to March, that is a good season to travel, especially if you want to go to the Caribbean. You want to go to places where you want to be warm. It's cold here, so those are all seasons. The children in school, it's not going to be a bunch of traveling. Unlike the summer, everyone's traveling. Everybody's going to be wanting to go on vacation because the kids are home from school. You're off from work. It's warm outside. It's the summertime. So, of course, airfare is going to be hiked up. But all seasons are like January, September to November, or even if you book like an overnight flight, that's compared to like an evening flight or a morning flight, they will cost more than an overnight flight. Or even booking a flight for the weekday is cheaper than booking a flight to go on a weekend. But one of my favorite hacks would be probably using your miles. So whenever you're taking a flight, I would sign up for miles and even get a credit card, so that way you can eventually travel for free, because it builds up depending on how much you travel. And even if you don't travel as frequently, still use it, because one day you are going to be able to get a free flight somewhere. So let's go over the tips that I just gave you. 1, the 5 websites: Kayak, Momondo, Skiplag, SecretFlying.com, and Skyscanner. Also, book at an airport where it is cheaper. So look at the surrounding airports and see where it is cheaper to fly out and more convenient. So if it is cheaper to fly out of Newark and it's about an hour and 30 minutes versus PHL, that's 25 more minutes. Yeah, maybe PHL is more convenient, but Newark is going to save me, like I said, $800 more. Also, flexibility. If you are flexible and you don't have a specific date, but you know you want to go somewhere, you're just ready to go out and travel, you don't care, be more flexible. Look at the dates, look at the prices. On Skyscanner, you can click the whole month and see each date in the month and see what is more affordable for you. Also, book 6 weeks in advance. Don't wait too late. Don't book too early. 6 weeks is literally the period of time where flights are at its best. Try booking also in off seasons, which is January through March, September to November, and also weekdays, some overnight flights, and when children are typically not on the flight. JK. Last but not least, sign up for miles. Get those miles, because if you're traveling, you might as well add them to something, or look into a credit card that specializes in miles, where if you spend a certain amount with the credit card, you get this amount of points. I know Capital One has a really good one, the Venture card. I know Chase has a good one. Sign up. That is going to be your key to traveling. Trust me. So I hope you enjoyed this episode on flight hacks, and I'm coming to give you guys some more in the future as I come across more and new ways to travel. I'm going to be giving it to you guys on this podcast. Thank you, and I hope you guys have a great day, and go on some of them websites and see what you like and see where you can go. And if you guys can find stuff, comment Skyscanner on my Instagram. I am Lisa with a Visa. Thank you. Bye.